Welcome to IROC Business With Confidence, the podcast where passion meets profit without the pressure of a big price tag. I'm your host, Corey Fonville Foster, transformational speaker, certified business coach, trainer, and the CEO behind the mic. In every episode, we dive deep into the heart of entrepreneurship, bringing you stories, strategies, and tips to monetize your passions while maintaining your budget. Whether you're a budding entrepreneur or looking to scale up, this is your go-to resource for affordable sales and marketing strategies. Join us as we interview small business experts from around the globe, sharing their journeys, challenges, and the solutions that propelled them to success. IROC Business with Confidence podcast is here to demystify the process of running a successful business on a budget. Get ready to transform your entrepreneurial dreams into reality, one episode at a time. Hello guys, welcome back to the podcast, and thank you for coming to hang out with us for another amazing episode. Today we're going to talk about podcasting, but we're going to talk about podcasting in a way that I think we've never really talked about podcasting on this particular podcast, and that is through the heart-centered approach. So first of all, welcome to the IROC Business With Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Corey Fonville Foster, and today we're going to explore the journeys and strategies of those who shape the world of entrepreneurship. Today we'll dive into the world of podcasting with Aeoliana Elliott, a mastermind in podcast strategy dedicated to empowering female podcasters. From overcoming imposter syndrome to navigating the balance between motherhood and entrepreneurship, Aeoliana brings a wealth of experience and heart-centered advice. Join us as we uncover the secrets to podcasting success and learn how to amplify your voice in a crowded digital space. Let's bring on Aeoliana. Hello.
Hi. Hello. How are you, Corey?
I am good. I'm so excited that you are on today. Before we even started recording, I was sharing with her, we've never talked about podcasting in the way that I think we will today. My team put together a little packet for me to share about who you are, and I'm like, this is different. This is a new approach. And now it's time to get new in this world. Everybody's just copying everyone else. But I think if you're a entrepreneur, if you're a mom entrepreneur who also has a podcast, like all those intersections, you are going to enjoy today's episode. But before I get to talking a whole bunch, I want to give you a chance to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are and your journey into the podcasting world.
Sure. Okay, so thank you for having me. Like you said, my name's Aeoliana. I live in Tampa, Florida. I've been married to my husband for almost 20 years. We have an 11-year-old son who's into all things hockey. So we're a hockey family. I was a paralegal for over 25 years. And how I got into podcasting was I've always listened to podcasts since 2015, 2016. I love true crime podcasts. I still love them. In 2019, I was working for a law firm. I was diagnosed with a double kidney infection and was hospitalized as a result. And the law firm I was working for let me go. So while I was in the hospital, yay for no unions. So I had to very quickly figure out what to do. I ended up getting a job as a scheduling coordinator for a construction company, and I'm still there now. But right after that was that fabulous period of time we call COVID. And so I learned that the power of podcasting, in learning different aspects, in learning different things. And so I dove into VA work as a result of learning about it through podcasting. I dove into podcast management. And for about 2 years now, I've been doing podcast management and also doing a lot of mindset work and, self-care, mental health, work and everything like that, just from learning things about podcasts. So that's a little bit about me in a nutshell. And the reason I like delving into things with a heartfelt approach is because I know as women, there's a lot of things that we go through. There's a lot of things that we deal with and that we have to do, that we don't take that time out for ourselves. We don't, we think we have to do all the things and be all the things for everyone. And we never take that quick second to take care of ourselves. And so I try to infuse that self-care and that, that strategy with my clients. And also, I'm not a big fan of like sales in the bro aspect, as they like to call it. I like to feel like I'm in a conversation and I'm providing a service. I'm helping someone. And if they pay me, great. If they can't, for whatever reason, I still want to serve. I still want to help. So that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. I think that gives us a nice little idea of who we are talking to today. Thank you for sharing it. And it's funny because you kind of went directly into my next question, because I was trying to figure out what exactly is the definition of heart-centered, especially when it comes to podcasting. But I like how you kind of already touched on it and saying, like, that you're working with somebody to, of course you want to get paid, but you were saying, hey, we're going to figure it out regardless if it's something that you're passionate about, if it's something that you're meant to do, and something that you enjoy doing. What other can you expound a little bit more about like some of the heart-centered strategies that maybe you share with your clients, or even ones that you utilize for yourself?
Yeah. So when I think of heart center, and I can't take credit for that, I was listening to a podcast and I've actually been coached by her a little bit. Her name is Anna Rapp, and her podcast is called The Heart-Centered Entrepreneur. And it's awesome if you want to check it out. And so that's where I got the term. Give all credit to her. But so with my clients, what I like to do is heart-centered in a self-reflecting kind of way, and then heart-centered in a loving reflection towards others. So always starting from a point of how can I serve others, but still taking care of myself? How can I provide value to other people? How can I go into a conversation or into a meeting or into any aspect of my life and make it better than it was before I walked in? What can I do to help someone, whether it's, realize the potential and the power they have in becoming visible and sharing their voice with the world, or having someone, so many of us as women, we have been taught from a young age not to speak up, not to make waves, not to, don't be loud, don't say things unless you're asked to. And we've been told that we have to ask permission to be who we are. And I try to tell my clients that you don't need permission to be who you are. You don't need permission to share what you have in your heart. If you have that tug in your heart, it's because someone somewhere at some point needs to hear it. And if you don't become visible and you don't say those things that you need to say, then someone's going to miss out on something they needed to hear, because they're not going to hear it from anyone else. They're waiting for you to say it. And so I try to help my clients balance between that upbringing of not saying enough, or not being able to say anything, or feeling like they're not enough, to transitioning into standing in their power, knowing who they are, knowing they have something to say, and moving forward from there.
Wow, that was a word right there.
Mic drop. We're done now. That's it.
That's all you need. No, but I do. I think everything you said just is really, really true to the heart of, for a lot of women. I feel like we are just so giving all the time. And I think that translates over into business, where we do want to be of service to others, and we want to, be as involved and help as many people as we can. But kind of with that being said, though, like, do you have people who are like, I want to do all these things, and they're making all these connections, and then they realize they have kind of overcommitted and they're burnt out or they're overwhelmed? Because I know with me, like, when I do podcasts, like some seasons of life, I'm like, oh, I can't do this many. Because I have my own podcast, but then I'm also on other people's, and I'm like, I'm tapped out. I'm exhausted. I've overcommitted. So how do you kind of help people, or what is your thoughts around like balance when you are trying to kind of be all things to everyone?
So one of the biggest things I tell my clients is, if you have a family, when you start creating your schedule, start with your family commitments first. A lot of people think that, and it's because we've been conditioned that way, working regular 9-to-5 jobs where your family comes second and the job comes first. And so with podcasting, I've tried to help my clients see that, okay, do your family commitments first, and then bring your family into that commitment. So have family meetings where your family, your kids know, if I'm, in my room and the door is closed, I'm recording, or these are the days that I have specifically for recording or for editing, or, whatever the task may be. Include your family in those decisions. That way everyone knows what you're doing and no one feels like, well, you're not going to have kids jumping in while you're in the middle of recording. I mean, we're moms, we have kids, it's going to happen. But, having those I don't want to say boundaries, because they're not really boundaries, but having those things set in place where people know what to expect makes it a little bit easier. Another thing too is give yourself grace. Pay attention to your energy, honor your energy. If you don't feel well enough to do podcasts, reschedule. A lot of podcast hosts understand the overwhelm and the burnout, and they're not going to be like, oh, I'm never going to record with this person ever. They understand, they're doing it too. They're probably overwhelmed too. And I know I've been on some podcasts where the host has canceled at the last minute for an emergency, and I've been like, oh, thank God, I was so tired, I didn't really want to do that one anyway. So we all get it. And so, but give yourself grace. If you need to take time off, take time off. Don't think that you have to be all the things to all the people all the time. Take those breaks if you need them. I tell my clients, batch record if you're able to. That way, if you don't have the energy, you still have an episode that you can release. Have a calendar, have a schedule of what you're doing. Keep track of that schedule, and don't try to start small, and then work your way up from there. Don't try to I'm going to publish 5 episodes a week. No, girl, try 1 a month, and then if that works, build up from there. Because it's really hard to tell your audience, I'm going to be putting out 30-minute episodes every single day, Monday through Friday. And then you hit a lull, or you're tired and you don't want to do it, but now your people are expecting an episode every day. So start off slow, work your way up. Once you learn your energy, once you know what feels good, if you know that at the end of the month, you don't have energy for interviews, schedule solo episodes for that week, if that's your episode schedule. If you know you have a lot of energy at the beginning of the month, schedule more interviews at the beginning of the month, and then pre-record them so that when you don't have energy, you already have a bank of stuff to do. So those are some of my tips for my people, for your people now.
Well, look, my people are your people now, so wow.
For our people.
Yes. Guys, I hope you were taking notes, because I was like, okay, check. I have my door closed. I actually have a sign that's like, I'm recording. But you're right, kids will be kids. They will still bust up in here. And they're like, oh, I didn't know. I didn't hear anybody. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Okay. And not just kids. I've had my husband pop in here when I've told him what I'm doing, send him a text that I'll be down as soon as I'm done, and he'll still pop in here like, dinner's here. I'm like, yeah, I know, I ordered it, I'll be down in a minute, So we all have it. It happens.
Yes, I was throwing my husband in there with the kids, so I was like, yeah, they all come in. But no, it's crazy. But I love the tips you gave. I am definitely a big recorder and batch recorder, because I know that I just want to have it and let it be running. Because if I have a day where I don't want to do it, like you said, I'm like, I ain't doing it. So I love the idea of recording. Also setting kind of realistic expectations for yourself, starting small. Because I've had clients come and say, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put out, like you said, 2, 3, 5 episodes a week. And I'm like, are you really? Like, you barely record 1 live a week on social media. You're going to record 5. Because I think sometimes people don't understand to what goes into podcasting. I think some people think they're conversationalists and that all they need to do is talk. But there's prep. There's prior prep, there's doing the podcast, and then there's post-production. Yep. There's a lot that goes into it. Getting guests, especially if there's guests, getting guests, vetting guests, getting schedule set. There's so much that goes into it. So I love that you said start small. I would even go as far as to say, and you may disagree, but I'm like, hey, start using the tech you have and then build on it.
No, I don't disagree at all. I think that's a great idea. Most of the podcasts that I record, and I haven't even released mine yet, I just started this year. I use free services, like wherever the free services I can get is what I'm doing. Like I record and I edit in Audacity, which is free, and all the things I learned on YouTube. And, I don't edit a lot because I'm of the mindset that this is how I talk. And there's a lot of ums and uhs and likes, and that's how I talk. And it makes it easier for me because I'm not trying to, be perfect. But, not everybody's like that. There's a lot of people who do enjoy editing. Well, wait, I'll take that back. Most people don't enjoy editing, but they like themselves to sound a certain way, which is fine. It's a totally personal preference. But yeah, I mean, you don't have to have perfect equipment, perfect anything. You just need to make the decision, if you haven't already, you just need to make the decision that you have something to say, you want to say it, you want to share it, and then hit record and go. I know a lot of podcasts who were started on cell phones with the cell phone recorder, and that's how they went out. And it is what it is. The right audience is going to hear it, resonate with it, and the wrong audience won't. And there's nothing you can do about that.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
And I agree, because I always tell people that I think they're afraid. I think, there's so many different types of fear. A lot of them are afraid of, what if I mess up? What if nobody listens? All that. Of course, we have the fan favorite imposter syndrome that comes in. It's like, who's
that's my favorite. I am imposter syndrome central right here. That is my troll of choice.
But for those of you who don't know about imposter syndrome, even though I think anybody listening probably does and has probably experienced it in life, it's this kind of idea of like you're not enough, or you are putting yourself in a place where you maybe think you shouldn't be yet. And so I'm sure, like I said, I know I've dealt with it. Can you tell me about maybe a situation that you've had, especially as it relates to podcasts or even one of your clients?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things, and I'll generalize this one of the biggest things I get is people starting a podcast and then they're like, I don't have anything to say. I heard this podcast or this other podcast and they have so many listeners and they're like ranked in the top whatever it is, and they're doing so much better and they're making so much money, and I can't compete with that. And one of the biggest thieves and one of the biggest things that fuels that imposter syndrome is comparing ourselves to other people. And I was saying this on a podcast with a friend of mine last month, and we were talking about how a lot of times we compare our start to someone else's finish line. And for a lot of us, whether we're podcasters, entrepreneurs, moms, all of the above, we tend to compare ourselves to everyone else. We're always thinking like we're not doing enough, we're not being enough because someone else is doing it better. But better compared to what? In the podcasting space, someone could have a high-ranking podcast, but you don't know if they have a team of people behind them. 9 times out of 10, we're creating our own podcast. Like you said earlier, there's a lot of work that goes into it. So we're doing all of the recording, the editing, the publishing, the promoting, the finding guests, the marketing, all of it by ourselves. So those podcasts that are doing really well could have a team of 5-10 people doing each one of those things. So the host isn't doing anything but sitting down and recording their episode. If we had that access, that'd be fantastic. We wouldn't have to worry about anything else. And so I think, and I struggle with this all the time, you know, with the imposter syndrome and not feeling enough, that it's just, we have to stop comparing ourselves. And so I tell a lot of my clients, figure out what success means for you, for your podcast. Don't look at anyone else. If success for you looks like I published an episode a week for an entire month, pat yourself on the back. You did it. If success is I managed to record 3 episodes in a batch session when I wasn't feeling well, but I did it anyway, kudos, you did it. Celebrate that. We have to remember to celebrate all the little accomplishments we make, because when we don't celebrate the little, we forget what we're actually really doing. And we think, oh my gosh, I haven't accomplished this or accomplished that. When in reality, we've done more than we are giving ourselves credit for. So those are some of the things that I tell my clients and that I do myself. I also do a lot of affirmations. I do EFT tapping. I journal. I do meditation sometimes. Just all of those things, because my imposter syndrome, like I said, is a daily thing, not just in podcasting, not just in business, but as a mother, as a wife, as all the things, as a woman. I'm constantly having to battle that thought that I'm not doing enough. I should be doing more. Yes. So just, I guess, we're all in the same boat. We're all trying to do the thing. We're all trying to do that thing, the other thing, all the things.
Yes, and I love you said give yourself grace. And also when you were talking, I was like, yes, we have to define what success is for ourselves, because you're right, comparison is really the thief of joy. If you are out here, especially because the thing that gets me is when people compare themselves to, like you said, these big brands. Like you see somebody who put out 300 episodes, you can see on the screen they have 2 hosts plus a team of people, and you're like, why am I not there? They have all these sponsors and things, and it's like, you haven't put out your first episode yet.
Right, exactly.
It's like, because they weren't that great at their first episode. You don't know what money they had going into it. You don't know what skill set they had going into it for themselves. There's just so much unknown, and it's so important, like you said, to just do you, boo.
Absolutely, do you, boo. Yep, that's right.
But yeah, I know when I started my podcast, I had to be really honest with myself. And I said, what is my goal? My goal was not to monetize the podcast. It wasn't to have a whole bunch of sponsors. My goal originally was for people to be able to listen and watch my podcast and see themselves and to be inspired to realize that they could start a business. That was my very first podcast. We did 1 or 2 seasons of that, and that mission was accomplished. And I felt like when the credits rolled on the last episode, I said, I did what I accomplished, what I set out to accomplish. People had said those stories were amazing, and that, they got so much from it, and they were inspired to, be in business, stay in business, all those things. Then when I started this podcast, I said, I want people to implement. Like, I love that you've been giving out all the information, because people, I'm always saying, get your pen and paper out. I want you to be able to write down, things you can implement right now to build your business and to move forward in whatever we're talking about. And I think we've done that in this podcast, because guys, we talked about imposter syndrome, we talked about success, we talked about balancing, we talked about being heart-centered, and she gave us a whole bunch of strategies about batch recording and more. And so I know just from this one episode that it's probably going to touch at least one person. It'll touch more, but at least one person is going to be like, I can do this. I can start a podcast, and I know what I want to get out of it. So I definitely thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I do want to touch on challenges, because I like to be real for a second.
Yeah.
I know you kind of talked about kind of when you started the process during COVID. So it hasn't been that many years, but it's still been a long time. COVID makes it feel like we've been in this thing for years.
It does. It does. Yeah.
It's like that. It feels like it's aging. It's like it's been 10, 20 years. It's like actually it's only 2020.
Yeah. So yeah, it was only like 4 years ago, but it feels like it was an eternity ago. Yeah. Yeah. I feel you. I understand.
I'm like, oh, so much has happened. But I will ask you, because like I said, I do want some transparency of like behind the scenes. What are some of the common challenges that you've seen or you've experienced that have caused people to kind of give up on their podcasting journey?
One of the biggest challenges, and it goes back to not defining your success and not having a goal to shoot for, is being really, really excited at the beginning and then realizing you think, well, not realizing, but thinking, letting your brain tell you that you've run out of things to say, that you no longer have anything to say, or just being overwhelmed with the tech and the editing and all the things that, in the background of a podcast you have to do. And so those are the common challenges I see with a lot of my clients. And a quick fix, and not really a quick fix, but just scheduling all of those tasks. So the same way that we were talking about batch recording, I'm a big fan of batching tasks. So our brains tend to work in a way where we multitask as women. We've all done it. Whether we do it effectively or not, our brains are not made to multitask. I'm someone who thinks I multitask well, but if I really break it down, I'm half-assing some of the things that I'm doing. I'm not giving my full attention to any one task when I'm trying to do 5 of them at the same time. And so I tell my clients, batch. So whether you batch recording your episodes, then you batch editing, then you batch the releasing or the publishing, because you can schedule all of that ahead of time. Then you batch the promotion. That way your brain is working on one activity at any given time, and you can put all of your focus into that one activity. So give yourself a timer, whether it's 30 minutes, an hour, however long it takes you to edit something. Editing is the biggest one. Let's say that it takes you an hour to edit an episode, or 30 minutes. Give yourself 30 minutes. After that 30 minutes is done, you don't edit it anymore, and it's done. It moves on to the next task. You don't keep editing for another 30 minutes. You did your 30 minutes. It's good to go just the way it is. Another thing too is trying to battle perfection. When you're putting out content, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a blog, whether it's whatever it is, when you're having a conversation, you're not trying to be perfect in the conversation. When you're sharing, when you're talking to a girlfriend and you're telling her about, the new outfit that you bought, or the new drink that you tried, or the new restaurant that you went to, you're not scripting and trying to make that conversation perfect. You're just saying how you feel. And so podcasting is the same way. If you're thinking about it in a conversational way, you don't have to be perfect. I think one of the things that COVID taught us is 2 things, is we all need connection, and people are tired of perfection. People are tired of the fake and the phony and the plastic. And, people want authentic, real, genuine connections. And you can't have that if you're constantly trying. You can't do that with people if they're constantly trying to be perfect. People are going to make mistakes. People are going to fumble their words when they're talking on a podcast. They're going to forget what they're saying. There's going to, it's going to happen. We're human. People are going to want to take breaks. People are going to cough during interviews like I almost did. It happens. We're all human. And I think it's that human connection that has caused podcasts to be so popular in the last few years, because it allows us to connect with so many people on a deeper level that we wouldn't normally have been able to do. Like, I'm in Florida. Where are you?
In Virginia.
Okay. We probably would never have talked had it not been for the fact that you have a podcast and I help podcasters launch podcasts. Because we're in two completely different states.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, like that piece of it has been so important and so just pivotal to everything in my life and in the lives of my clients, and helping out what they do moving forward and how they bring that out to the world.
Wow, look, another mic drop. I told you she was going to get that. I was like, look, I was thinking, I said, don't ask another question. No, I think that's a great place to end. If you are not inspired by now, I don't know what to tell you. If you are saying, why me? I could never. I don't know what to tell you. If you're making excuses, you don't have the tech, you don't have the knowledge. I don't know what to tell you. She done gave you all the tools, all the answers, all the mindset shifts that you need. So the next thing you need to do is just get started. Just do it.
Yep, just do it.
But thank you, Aeoliana, for being here. This has been amazing, guys. As always, don't let this be the last time that you connect with her. Every guest we bring on is top tier, cream of the crop. Like, they're the best of the best. So definitely, I'm gonna in the show notes, if you're listening, all her information will be there to connect with her. She said, go to the website, y'all. Everything is there. You don't have to ask. Everything is there. You can see what services she has to offer. You can learn more about her and how she helps her amazing clients. So definitely check her out. Also, connect with her on social media. You can connect with her on Instagram. You can also connect with her on the tick of the talk. And definitely like, share, follow, do all the things, y'all. Y'all know what to do, because we want to be here and be a supportive environment. Even if you say, I listened to this episode, it was fun, but I'll never have a podcast, that's fine. Go like her content anyway. Because
you never know. I never thought I would have a podcast, and I actually was on a podcast and she challenged me to do one. She's like, you're gonna do one, right? And I was like, well, no, not really, but now I have to, because you kind of called me out, so thanks. So yeah,
you have this whole brand. That's things just happen, things align, and you heard the calling and went for it. So I love it. But guys, thank you so much. This has been an amazing episode. Remember, we have a new episode that drops every single week. So definitely check it out. Remember to like, follow, and share. And guys, remember, I rock, you rock, we all rock. And we'll see you next time. Have a good one, guys.
Bye.
A wrap on another episode of IROC Business with Confidence podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining our journey into the world of entrepreneurship. If today's episode inspired you or just gave you the tools to tackle your next business challenge, we'd love your support. Please like, share, follow, subscribe, and rate us with a glowing 5 stars. And don't forget to leave us a review. Are you an entrepreneur with a unique perspective, expertise, or actionable strategies that our audience can implement today to advance their entrepreneurial journey? We're always on the lookout for guests who are ready to share their stories and insights. If that's you, please reach out to us. Remember, entrepreneurship isn't just about the destination, it's about the journey. And here at IROC Business with Confidence, we're here to journey with you. Until next time, keep rocking your business with confidence. We can't wait to see where your entrepreneurship journey